So we're at the bottom of Tosfos on Dalam and Aleph, and the Gemara said that you even during the 7 days of the Sheva brachas, he's not allowed to have relations with his new wife because it's Devarim shel etznia and Davar shel tzina noiheg, that if when other people don't know that you're doing it, then you're not allowed to do it. So you can't have relations. Now Tosfos first says perish chayve lasoskein. Now it says noiheg, so it would seem that it's a minhag to do davar shel tzina, and it's like, well, it's not my minhag to refrain from having relations, so I can do that. No, it's a chayve, says Tosfos. But lo rishus. How do we know? We might see him in a brisa. The brisa says clearly that it is that's what you do. So therefore, it is a din, and it's not just a noihig. The im tema Rav Shmuel damri beperak basra de moed cotton. So obviously, seeing moed cotton be like this isn't true, because what do they say there? The tashmi shamita b'Shabbos shel zayin yimei avelos for shus. So there they give a list of some things that are osir and some things that are rishus or choive. So there are certain levels of avelos that you're not allowed to show on Shabbos, and some you are allowed to show. So it says that it's a rishus to have relations on the 7 days of the Shabbos. So somebody who's an oval for 7 days, the Shabbos of the 7 days, they are permitted to have relations. So tikshi le brisa dahaka. So therefore we have the kasha from the brisa here onto Rav and Shmuel there. The ein svar lahalek bein moyed l'Shabbos. So you can have a simple chiluk and say that on the moyed it's aser and on Shabbos it's mutter. So why would you not make? What does this mean? Ein svar lachalek bein moyed l'Shabbos. Why not? I mean, and now again, always it's easy to come up with chilukim, and there are differences, but is it a difference that makes a difference? Now here you would say usually you'll have a kavachomer. If something is aser on Yontiv, then it'll be aser on Shabbos. So here, Tosfos is saying we have an easy answer saying that it's mutter on Shabbos and aser on Moed. So then that would be Shabbos is more makel than the Moed, and therefore there's no svara to say that Shabbos should be more makel than the Moed. Shabbos should be aser and the Moed would be mutter, not the other way around. And Mekelen says no svara to say Mekelen Shabbos to fei. Eila nira l'ri the Rav v'Shmuel miflegi bein chatan l'moyed v'Shabbos. So here, the chiluk is that the chatan is, you have the simcha of chatan and then the simcha of moed and Shabbos. So the simcha of moed and Shabbos is the same, and then it's mutter to have bia on moed and Shabbos of the days of Avilos. But the simcha of chatan, because again, let's get clear. In our Gemara, it's a guy, and there's no Shabbos and there's no Moed. It's just a chatan during the 7 days isn't allowed to have beer. Now, obviously, this is during the seven Yimei Mishta, the Sheva brachas. The Sheva brachas is this: the 7 days of the Sheva brachas is chatan. That's a lower level of simcha to Moed and Shabbos. So I think the Tosfos Rosh says that it's the simchas of the Sheva brachas is only the Rabbanan, and therefore it's also for the bia, but on Shabbos and on Yontiv is mutter. So the moed and Shabbos, therefore it's mutter, and on the 7 days it's also. So therefore you have the Shabbos of Sheva brachas is mutter, because the guy's an oval, he's a chotan. The chotan is enough of a simcha. The Sheva brachas is enough of a simcha to override the isur of bia, but Shabbos that comes during this Sheva brachas is. Avakasha the kol otán hayamim hu yeshem ben anashem mashma afilo b'Shabbos. But it seems that kol oiso yamim, or to say all those days, they have to be in yichud. Mashma afilu b'Shabbos. The posku, so that's a kasha. The posku, hilchos gedoylo is Rabbi Yochanan. So now he's changing topic. It's not mashma. The way that we've explained it, the chatan is a lower level of simcha than moed and Shabbos. So therefore we have that Rav and Shmuel will agree here. So Hilchos Gedolah says is possible like Rabbi Yochanan against Rav and Shmuel. U'pirshu afol gav the kaimalan kadivri hemekel be'avol hani mini b'tanai aval ba'amaraylo. So by avelus, again, one of the ideas is basically you have one day of the Raisa and the rest is the Rabbanan, and therefore we're Mekel in it. Here, the Hilchos Ketuvot is saying that you go in the Hilchos Avelus, you go Kedivri HaMekel. But that's only by the Tanaim, but by the Amarayim law. Now, there doesn't seem to be any reason that this rule would be that for Tanaim we go by the Mekilim and by Amarayim we don't go by the Mekilim. There's a Pirush here saying that Tosfos isn't making a rule; he's just saying that all the laws we find, it just turns out this way, which I don't like that type of definition. Just like, look what we found. I mean, that's not really very interesting. And the other poskim, even by the Amarayim, they poskim like the Mekel. So it seems like the Hilchos Ketuvot here, which Tosfos is bringing. What exactly is the rhyme and reason of this rule? But he has a rule that the Tanaim, any Maklokas Tanaim, we go by the Mekel. But Amarayim, we don't have to go by the Mekel, and therefore we can go like Rabbi Yochanan, who is more machmir in this case of banning bia on the Shabbos. But Oimer read Avadai nearer the halachic Rabbi Yochanan. So he also goes like Rabbi Yochanan mitlo mit Amar Hashas Hakam Messiah to Rabbi Yochanan. In fact, so whenever we have the lashon of Messiah, it's always the lashon of that the halacha is going this way. Now continuing on in the Gemara, we went up to Lememra. So we had that the Nida, when she's in Nida and he hadn't have relations with her, or during Avelus, then he has been an Ashim and Isha been an Ashim. Now Lememra de Avelus kilale mi Nida. This is to say that Avelus is more Mekel, but then Nida. Rashi la avor alei mi Nida de Avelus lo mehemne le ve'anida mehemne le. So you can get confused here on what's the Mekel and what's the Chumrah. So that the Avelus, they don't believe, they not believe. When it says not believe, it means that it's also to be in Yichud. If you're believed, then you can be in Yichud. If you're not believed, you can't be in Yichud. So in an Avelus, you don't believe. Therefore, you have to be amongst the men, and she needs to be amongst the women. So by Avelus, we don't believe him, but by Nida, we believe him because they don't need to be in Yichud for Nida. So therefore, Avelus is Kila mi Nida, because you will. So again, why is the Avelus Kila? The Avelus lo mehemnes, because you think that Avelus is something that's not so important. So therefore, you might come to having relations. But Nida in your eyes is super machmir, and therefore you can be in Yichud with your wife and you won't come to have relations because Nida is Chomor. But Avelus is Kila in your eyes, and therefore you'll be over Ava, even though it's usher to have relations as Avelus, since it's Mekel in your eyes, you'll come to do it anyway. So once you have any law that's Mekel, you'll just start breaking it and say, oh, it's okay, I'm modern Orthodox, that's what we do. So the Avelus being Mekel will make you have relations, and therefore you have to have more stringent more stringent Yichud rules, because it's Kila. Does that make sense? How it's flowing here? So we're going to see that Amar Rav Huna Kol Melechas Sheisas. So we're going to see that Nida is Mekel here. All the work that a woman needs to do for her husband, Nida does for her husband. So Rashi Lekaman Tani Leb Perek Afal Pi. So in the 5th Perek, it's discussing that when the man enters the wife into his domain, into his house, then he pays for all her food, and she has to do certain work for him. So she has to do all the work, even when she's in Nida, she has to do all the work. Chut mi gizas hakois. Gizas hakois is the mixing up of the wine. So we saw already that's part of the wedding preparations, that you need an uman to get the water and the wine to the exact correct ratio. And then once you have the correct ratio, the wine starts to deteriorate. So Rashi, you can mix the cup, because there's no issue mixing the cup, because she could be, in Timbuktu mixing the cup, and he can be in a different country, no problem. So the Rashi says, lo haishat lo, to give him the cup. And the Ritva here says that when you mix the cup, you give it. Like as soon after you mix it, you give the cup. So therefore, it's called lo haishat lo, because you mix it and give it. It's all kind of one act. Vatzias hamita, Rashi shederech kiru v'chiva hen uboin lidei hargel dover. So hetzias hamita is to pull the sheets, to flow the sheets. The harchatz is panav yadav raglav, and to wash his face. So she's going to wash his face. That's a little bit too much during nida. It might come to fail. So even though, when they're in a veilus, so man isn't allowed to force the woman to put on makeup in the days of her evel, when her father or mother dies. So she's an avel. He can't force her to put on makeup. But Emes Amru Megizas Lo Gosim Sis Lo Hamita Marcus Lo Panavia Raglav. So therefore we see by a velus we are being makel and allowing her to do all these things that she's not allowed to do in Nida. So we see in Nida we need extra harchakus, because we see in his eyes Nida is more makel than a velus. Because in a velus you can do all these things. She can give him a cup of wine because they won't come to have relations. But in Nida, if she's not allowed to mix the cup, because they will come to have relations. So therefore we see that in a velus, it's more chomer in his eyes, and they can get closer together, and they won't have bia. Whereas in Nida they might do. So why are we saying over here that we have to be super machmir by a velus, that there's all these levels of yichud? Now, Tosfos up here, Hatzias Hamita. Hatzias Hamita near Larid. Hatzias Hamita Dachaka. That this is made here is Hayinu Pirsasidan. Is that we're putting out the sheet on the bed. We're spreading the sheet on the bed. So that's more of an invitation when you spread the sheet on the bed. Shehu Davar Shel Chiba. So spreading the sheet on the bed is this more sensual act of, oh look, we're making the bed. Well, what are you going to do on the bed? Oh, well, let's have a look. So the spreading out of the sheet is a davar shel chiba. Aval hatzas karim v'koisos she'ena devarim shel chiba shari lenida. So, like setting up the bed, what you would have is putting the cushions and the kosos and the pillows, and plopping the pillows and doing these type of things. That's just making the bed ready to be slept upon. That's not a davar shel chiba, and that's mutter for anida. And the raya he brings, and we say in Perach P later on, the fifth perach, that if she brings in 3 women to help around the work, she doesn't have to motzes lo mita. Ve'ena oisa b'tzemer, and she doesn't have to work with wool. If she brings in 4, then she sits in her chair, in her dining chair, in her rocking chair. We said in the Gemara, even though we said that we have 4, Yosheves bekaderka aval mugzez lokois, she still has to mix the cup and mutzis amita. So therefore we see in those firms that if she brings in 3, she's already eino mitzes lo hamita. She already doesn't set the bed. However, even if she brings in 4, she still has to do these davar shel chiba, giving him wine, Mutzis Samita, even though we just said he's not allowed to do it, so therefore we see that there's a split in the Mutzis Samita. So it's understandable that the davar shel chiba, so it's a lot more work just to get the pillows and put the bed together. That's like work. But spreading out the sheet, that's a davar shel chiba, and therefore she has to do it even if she has money and she's bringing in all these workers. because it's not really the proper thing for the workers to set the bed of the sheet. They can put the pillows there, but the sheet is a more personal thing, and therefore the wife is doing that. Persha contrast the had Tanya. As we're saying that when it says 3 at the beginning, Rashi says that is the karim v'koisos. That's a davar sheish toireach, and you got to put some work in. So therefore, that's not proper work. It's not a tircha for levadin demili. The levadin is like the linens demili dechivanin who shtechav. So therefore, she has to do this in order that he will have. It's a derech shachiba, and he'll be chaviv alav. Ve'ein botarech. It's not a difficult thing. V'hahi hatza shel chiba nira de davka aser. And it's so therefore by the nida, it's davka the things that are shel chibas aser v'kein mashma the muskeche bahadi megizas hakois. That since making the bed is in the same list as making the wine, and since making the anvachartzos panav v'raglav, and since those two things are derechiba, so too is setting of the bed. The ki hatzam. So it's in the list of those three. Mihu l'sfarim de lo garsim b'mishnah ela ve'enu mitzvah samita below garsim lo. So you can have in the Mishnah. So in the Mishnah over there, in the other parak, there's a they don't say lo. So it's not Moses lo hamita. So when you see Moses lo hamita, so then that would be that she's making the sheets for him. Ugmar garsin and lo. So therefore, you have two different types of making the bed. En raya mishom shahayu tre gavne eitzas, because there's two types. The matnisa and iri batzas sharamitas. So in the Mishnah, we're referring to all the other beds in the house, but not his bed, not their bed, because that's a derech shel, because that's like too much. So that could even be the pillows. They can set the pillows of the other beds in the house. But Gemara iri batzas mita alma levado, that she's not allowed to do the pillows of her husband. So therefore there's no raya if you change the girsa where there is no law. Now, Pulkeset, Rashi says that it's aver sharak al paneya. So this sharak is a type of rouge, as they call it. It's a red makeup that women have. I'm not such a expert in women makeup, but seemingly Rashi would have to be in order to understand the Gemara. So maybe next time you're going to a department store, go into the makeup section and ask them about it and tell them it's Torah and you need to learn it. But there's this type of a red makeup that the women put on called rouge that they put on. Now we really need to go further in the Gemara to understand some of the rising in the Tosfos, so we'll stay away from Tosfos now, but Tosfos is going to argue on this point in Rashi. So she's allowed during the Avelus to make a cup. So therefore we see that they're not going to come to business, and therefore the Avelus is Chomer, because you can do these acts, and Avelus you won't come to be but however Nida you might do. So we say no. We're making a chiluk here. And again, this would be a teretz for Rav Yosef, who started this whole thing of Lo Shanu. So therefore, according to Rav Yosef, he says, Kan Lo Kasha. Kan Bavilis Day, Kan Bavilis Da. So that's for her, that's for his Avelus. When it's his Avelus, he's happy to break the Avelus and have relations. Even though he's not happy about life, he'll still go and have bia. Kamba Avelus Dida, that in her Avelus, then even though he'll try to get it on with her, since she's the one that's in Avelus, she won't let him do it. So therefore, she can't give him the kois, and even if he reacts to it, she won't let anything happen. And she can set his bed, and she can wash his face, and even if it entices him, he won't be able to get her to be enticed. For always the Avelus is skilled call for him, and he'll try to get something going, and therefore he has to be in Yichud proper. Mi nida. V'hani matnisa hakim atartzin hadikatani la'ayel hu yishem ben anashim ba'avelus day. That's his Avelus. He needs to be in Yichud. The hakta katani mozeklov that she's allowed to make him a cup. Vilasi dekai. The katani ain't adam rashailukov because it's not. They're not allowed to force his wife to wear these things. Alma be'avilasi de kaminin. So since it's in her avilus, he can't make her put the makeup on. Because if it's his avilus, then what difference does it make whether he puts makeup on or not? She's not in avilus. She doesn't want to do these things because she's in avilus. That's why she's allowed to give him the cup. Because if he gets enticed by this, alav kaven de avilus day who eino shumaslo, she won't let it happen. She won't listen to him. So now we're asking the question. We say vaha aviv shel chatan or ima shel kala katani. So we see that there's no difference between his and hers. So you can't say that this is his avelus, that's her avelus. Both of their avelus. Alma be'avelus dida nami. It's also hers. Achmer tana de la'ayel. So as we said over the page, that that the father dies or the mother dies, and then you go to the chuppah, and then you put the person, you put the mace in the room, you go to the chuppah, you have the bia, and then you have to go into yichud. So you see, there's both of them. Whether so, it's also in the case of when the mother of the kala. So therefore, that's her avelus. So ki, ki ketani ashar, where it says ima shal kala, that's on all the other dinim in the list in the brisa, but not of the yichud. So that's on that you have to put the mace in the cheder, and then you go to the chuppah, and then you have the bia, and then you payrish. All those things are if the mother dies, because that's her avelus. But at the end of that, everyone has to be in yichud. We don't need to have that then. Umishani ben avelus day avelus day. Is there really any difference between her avelus and his avelus? V'atanya we say misha meis chamev or chamumso, so that his mother or father-in-law were meis ena yachula kofes isha lehiyos gwecheles vidos poseket. So here we say that this is her. So she's in avelus, and therefore he can't force her to put on makeup. Ela koifa mitasoi v'noihegimo avelus, that he flips over his bed and he is noiheg, he's acting out avelus with her. So alma midelo ketani ba avelus didei. So noiheg imo avelus. Alma milot ketan avelus didei hu yeshem ben Hashem alma minei machmer. That's later on. So ki ketani ima shel kala ashar kashenichnas amet lecheder vel hu yeshem ben Hashem avelus dechatan kai, not on hers. So enoshai v'nohegri imo avelus. So that ela kufimisa v'neheges imo avelus. Or sorry, v'neheges avelus. V'kein he shemeis chamia or chamoso. So now we've similarly. So now that's her avelus, and he does avelus with him. Now we have v'chein. For her, when his father or mother dies, she isn't permitted to have to wear makeup and to be pul keset. Ela koifa mitaso v'nohegimo avelus. So you see, it's the same. V'chein. It's the same when he's in avelus. The dinim are the same. When she's in avelus, the dinim are the same. So alma midlo ketani be'avelus didei hu yisham ben anashim shemamina chamer le v'lo shanilan. So that if there was a difference, they would have to teach. Oh, well, there he's ben anashim and she's ben anashim. We say it's just the same dinim. V'kein. So Tani ba'avelus didei hu yisham ben anashim v'ishto yisham ben anashim. So Tani here is really saying this is how you're supposed to read the brisa. You add this into the brisa. This is how the brisa is supposed to be said. So hachigar sinim v'hui mo ketani, right? ha v'kein ketani. So it says v'kein. So don't tell me that that they're separately, that they have different dinim. It says v'chein, therefore they have the same dinim. Ki ketani, where does it say v'chein at kichul u'porkus? So that's on the same one. Now see here that that it says lehios kocheles v'helios pokeses, and then it says ki ketani at kichul v'pirkus. So therefore pirkus and pokeses is the same. So if Tosfos brings this up, he says later on in the Gemara, but this is where he's getting it from. Pirkus for Pokeses is the same thing. So when it says V'chein, that's only going on the Kichel and Pokeset, and therefore this whole thing that we've added in, Hu Yishem ben Anashim, Hu V'ishto Yishem ben Anashim, that's all added in, and the V'chein is only going to the Kichel and the Pirkus on the makeup. Aha, Imo Ketani. My lav Imo B'mitzah. Lo imo b'bayis. So Rashi Alma alibati day nami hemnin. So my love imo b'mitzah. So again, Tosfos will get into more into this why this is the diuk. We have the imo and the ima, and the imo is in the imo katani. It says that when it's his avelus, then they're in yichud. And they're not in, and they're not in the bed. So, imo b'mitzah, lo imo b'bayis. When it says imo, it doesn't mean that they are not in yichud. Imo b'mitzah means that you're in the same bedroom, you're in yichud, but you still can't have relations. No, it's with him in the house. The timer lav mishom de mehemnin neket lo ela lashminen de ena velus mutel aleya ela bifna, which we're going to see later. What does this mean? Imoba bias. Imoba bias just means that when he's around her, he has to have this. He has to act in a velus. De ena velus mutel aleya ela bifna, because he only has to be in a velus only when, or she's only in a velus only when she's in front of him. Mishom kavoldo. So this whole thing of having the avelus is because of kavod. The kain hu ein avelus mutal ala vela lefnei kavodo. So we'll see what it says here. V'kada amar le Rav Lechia Beria, Rav Lechia Beria. So Rav says to Chia, his son, in front of her you should have avelus. The law in front of her don't have avelus. Now this is talking about, so you have in for kavod of your wife. Then, in front of her, when she's doing avelus, then you do avelus as well. But that's only when you're in front of her. When you're not in front of her, then you don't have to. Therefore, imo, that you're doing avelus imo, or you're doing avelus ima, doesn't mean in the mita that you're allowed to be in yichud. It means that for her kavod, whenever you're in front of her, then you keep avelus as well. Now, the minhag of Israel is that they don't do this. This is the first Gemara. And no one does this, and you can see the little dalid there. That's the halacha. So this is the halacha. But when a husband is in avelus, or when the wife is in avelus, then the husband or the wife doesn't sit with them. They usually the wife is in the kitchen doing stuff for the shiva house, and if it's the wife, I don't know, the guy's out playing golf in the back garden or something. But they don't sit in doing the they don't sit with them when they're in the house together. Now, one of the reasons for this is that since the whole reason is because of kavoidoi, and therefore there's an inyan of that there's a mistama that you're moichel. You can be moichel your kavod, and therefore the wife is moichel her kavod to him, and he's moichel the kavod to her, and therefore this is one of the reasons they don't have it today. Now, Rav Ashi Amar mi kadamitzis avelus da hakel avelus da alma. Yeah, so Rav Ashi is going on a different point. So we'll have a look at the Tosfos now. So Paul Kesses Persha Kondish Maver Sharak Al Panea. So Rashi says that this is this red stuff he put on. For Ein Nira, it doesn't appear that's true. Why? Da Amar Perak Basra in the second Perak later on. Lo sharak for lo pirkus. Now again, this pirkos is different to the pulkeset, but as we've seen already, that is the same thing. So in the list, it's sharok and pirkos mashma detrei mili ninhu. So that pirkos and sharak are two different things. The pulkesekas tahaka hainu pirkos. So therefore, the pulkesekas tahaka, that is the same as pirkos. Tosfos has to say that because this is because they're different words. Kadamrim and besomoch. Right, so that's what we saw in the Gemaras. Kiketani at kichul pirkos. Kiketani at pirkos. So we went through that in the Gemara and pointed that out. That's what Tosfos was needing. So therefore, since it's in two lists, b'shli hamatznia. So at the end in the Shabbos, Ketani poseket umaver sharak al paneya. So therefore, we see that they're two different things. Look, perk base, pirkos is klishar. So later on, Rashi says that what is pirkos? It's braiding hair. The kashalari, the b'shlihi matzniya ketani gedolis upulkeset. So godless is to braid the hair. Upulseket is then can't also be to braid the hair because it can't be on the same list. So he's got an issue in all of Rashi's perushim. He's got a problem because there's a list listing the two of them together. Elanira ta'amar mi tinuke nashimhu. That this is part of it's like a makeup for women. It's some other type of makeup. I think the Tosfos Rosh says that it's where they put like this dough on their face and then they peel it off and it makes them red. But here, Tosfos is just saying that it's a different type of makeup. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really make such a big difference which makeup you can and can't put on. Don't know how much of an afkamina there is. Is there really a difference between his avelis and her avelis? Tema, because even without the whole milta of Rav Yosef, you can have this kasha and the brisa against each other. So why are we waiting until Rav Yosef brings this up? You don't need Rav Yosef to say that. Because here we're using this to answer that kam avelis day. We're using that to answer Rav Yosef. So even with the whole thing of Rav Yosef, there's still the stirrer between the brises. So Yishlamar di ilav have milta de Rav Yosef, have mafilgim bein shas chuppah l'shalo b'shas chuppah. So if we didn't have the whole din of Rav Yosef, we would have been chiluk between the brises in a different way. The one is the shas chuppah, and one is not the shas chuppah. The b'shas chuppah yetzer takufu. So in the time of his chuppah, when he just got married, there he has to be in proper yichud, and she's not allowed to do all these things for him because he just got married, and therefore his yetzer is controlling him. Even if he had a relation, he's still new at the game, and he's still in the 7 days, and therefore we need to be more stringent in yichud. Aval the Rav Yosef lo matzi lifluk bahachi daha babal chashiv like ishtai, because Rav Yosef has said lo shanu ela babal. The only time you need yichud is when you haven't had bia, and once you've had bia, now it's an ishta gemoiro, and there's no difference between a new wife and an old wife. So ki ishta yishana. The afilu b'shas chuppah ishta yishana imo benida. So even if she says once they've had relations, then even if they only had one relations and then she's into nida, they're allowed to be in yichud together. Uba avelasi day afilu hachi ba avelasi dida ketani. Hu yeshem ben anashim v'lahachi parak shapir. So therefore, our whole question is only coming from Rav Yosef's chiluk between the Hu yeshem ben anashim. And so again, Tosfos has a chiluk which he would make as to why you would need in a velus of chuppah versus velus stam, that there's a difference there's a difference between a velus and nida as to whether you need extreme yichud or not. But now that Rav Yosef can't make that chiluk because he said that once you've had bia, she's like your wife completely, so therefore you can't have that chiluk. And now we have the question because we can't make that chiluk, and therefore we're asking on. So that's pshat in the Gemara of why we're asking that now. And the Rashba is nira di lav the Rav Yosef lo havi kasha midi. Without Rav Yosef, wouldn't have a kasha at all. Te imo ve'ima the katani b'braisa lav imo b'mitza elu imo b'bayis. This whole thing of imo ve'ima, it doesn't mean that like being yichud. It means that when they're in the same house, they have to do avelis together. Aval Rav Yosef the Avelos Idei Ishta Yishana Imo Imkain Hatakatani Noicheg Imo Avelos Hayinu Imo Bamita. So since he said that when his wife is in Avelos Dida, his wife is in Avelos, they're allowed to be in Yichud. That's what he said. So for his wife sleeps with him means in Yichud, but not actually having relations. So if so, then when it says Noicheg Imo Avelos Hayinu Imo Bamita, so therefore Imo means Imo Bamita. Because that's what Rav Yosef said. Said the din is Dumi Edachaka. Like here, but Avilas Didei, Have Imo Bamita. So therefore, when it says Imo, then we will say Imo Bamita, Imo Bamita. That's why we're making them the same thing, because we know that what does Imo mean? Imo means Imo Bamita. So too, Imo would be Imo Bamita. V'had Mishani Tani B'Avilas Didei Hu Yishan Eina Magia Baraisa. So the way that we learned is that we're changing the words of the Braisa. Magia Braisa means that you're looking at the Braisa, you're changing the words in, and you're saying the Braisa is like out of kilter, it's got some mistakes in it. So like in Magia, when you're looking over the Tefillin or the Torah scroll, you look over all the letters and you're checking it out. So you're checking out the Braisa and you're saying like there's a problem with it. Eila Mefarish, we're giving a pirush of what does Imo to Katani B'Braisa. What does Imo in the Braisa mean? The Hakihu, this is what it means. So the Hakihu is that Imo, so we're not adding the words to the Braisa, we're explaining. Imo means Hu Yishan Ben Anashim, Hu Yishan Ben Anashim, V'hi Yishan Ben Anashim. That's the pirush of it, so we don't have to that the Imo in the Braisa Hakihu. And then we ask the question, Vaha Imo Katani, my love Imo B'mita, perish Dumia de Imo. This is the whole thing. Dumia de Imo, Mishani lo Imo b'bayis, and then that's like Rav. So Tosfos get there in the Rashba, giving a bit of a different perush of the end of the Gemara. Ravashi Omar. So he said, "What are you doing here? The whole thing is wrong. Mi damis. Are you comparing Avelis Dahaka, which is of the Chosin, the Avelis Lavusa de Alma? Why are you comparing? You can't compare the Avelis we have in our specific case and Stam Avelis. Avelis de Alma Chamir. Velo ati le zilzule be. Avelis Stam, you're machmir on it, and you won't come to be mizalzal in it. But Avelis Dahaka, Kaven de Iklu Rabbanan ati le zilzule be. So that in this the Avelis here, since the Rabbanim were makel in the Avelis of the Chatan, I was in a Brisa, so now I'll think that my Avelis isn't real Avelis, and therefore I'll come to be Mezalzel in the Avelis of a Chatan. But the Avelis Stam, you're not going to be Mezalzel because there's no Kulas. But when it comes to the Avelis of a Chatan, since you're makel for the Avelis of the Chatan, therefore he'll come to be Mezalzel later on as well. My Kulo, where are you makel in the Avelis? Ilema de Katani Boyal Bilas Mitzvah Upairish. If you're going to say that it's because you are having the first Bia and then you're Pairish, Hasa Mishom de Lo Chalalav Avelusa. The reason that you're a mutter, you're not being makel on him in order to allow him to have Bia. His Bia is mutter because the Avelis hasn't chaled on him yet. Now, when does Avelus start? Le Rebbe Eliezer ad sheyetze mipetach habayis. So, according to Rebbe Eliezer, when the mace goes out of the house, le Rebbe Yeshua ad sheyisem ha-golel. If it's according to Rebbe Yeshua, it's until the golel is closed up. Now, here we have seemingly a clear raya like the Rambam that we said originally that there's a maklokas. If you're allowed to have bia in Avelis, are you potter from all mitzvahs? We said in the Rambam that you're potter from all mitzvahs when you're a oinen because you're chayiv to bury the person. So since you're burying the person, so therefore you're potter from all the other mitzvahs. So you don't have. So here he says that it's mutter to have the bias mitzvah because you haven't had the Avelis as nachal yet. So therefore, and we're not being makel. That seems to go like the Rambam and not like the Rambam at all. So Eila, where are we makel? The Katani noihag shevish yemei hamishta. So we're saying that since we delayed the Avelus for 7 days and we put the Yemei Mishta first, so that's the Kula, so since we're being Makel there, so therefore we will since we're being Makel there, so therefore he needs a bigger level of a Yichud, and he needs a bigger level of Yichud in order that, because he was Makel, therefore he won't continue to be Makel. Now, this explains, we said that the Rosh here says that he agrees with the Ravid that we need these. You need to double up on the Yichud. But we said in general, when the Rosh in Moed Katan, he brings the Ravid and is arguing on him and says that he's being more machmer, he's being too machmer during the night and too makel during the day. But here in the in Kosovos, where we're talking about the Chassan, where the Chassan, we were makel on him. Since we were makel on him, that's why we're now being over machmer on him, and it's not like a stam avelus, and therefore l'chorah he's posking in like this Ravashi, and that it is that we are more machmir on this chatan because we were makel on him, therefore he has to keep extra levels of yichud. As you finish off the Rashis, Kedamar le Rav Chil Librea Keshemes Chamiv Ba'apei Noicha Devela. So when his father his father-in-law died, so Chia's father-in-law died, he has to be avelos when he's in front of her. So plucked it Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua Moed Katan, which is brought down here, and the Goylel Zeh Kisei Shel Aaron Hames. The Goylel is the covering of the Aaron. So Tosfos is going to get into a big argument here with Rashi, but Kama Makaimus, many places perish Rashi, the Goylel have a Kisei Aaron. So we have the Goylel and the Doifek. So the Goylel is the top of the coffin. The Doifek Einu Karashim Shabetzirei HaAaron. So we have you have the bottom and the sides, that would be the doifek, and the top that covers it, that will be the doifek. That would be the goylel. So the goylel is the kisoy of the Aaron Hames. So that's Rashi. The goylel is which is Rabbi Yeshua's sheet actually used to goylel. So once you put the cover on the grave, that's when the avelus starts, according to Rabbi Yeshua, and Tosfos is going to argue. And we'll continue with the Tosfos next time. Shulchan Aruch says, Hilkach, all the 7 days of the Mishta, and the 7 days of avelus, he sleeps amongst the men, and she sleeps amongst the women. So that seems to be simple from our Gemara. So there's some say that it's also to be a yichud with her in the day and the night. The ein sarich lehios lehem shtei shemira. You don't need 2 shemiras, because again, he sleeps amongst the men. That's 2 men. She sleeps amongst the women. That's 2 women. So we're saying that we don't need this double. Double. It's too much. Raku ben anashim. Oh, we have a big or here. Oh, he ben anashim. So that's the Torah and the Rosh. We said that the Rosh was if im eno yeshnim becheder echod ein tzrichim shimur klal. And if they don't sleep in the same room, they don't need any shimur at all. So again, today everyone has their own bedroom and stuff like that. So therefore, it's going to be a bit weird. He and her in the same room, and then all these other people sleeping in the same room. Usually, you just have a different. V'yeshamrim to belayla tzarek shtei shemiros. Not to need 2, and in Yom it's not to be in yichud with her. It says the minhag is to take a cotton etzel hachatan, the katana etzel akala. That the cotton gets a cotton, and the kala gets a katana. Ve'ein mishchadim biyom below cotton or katana. Now, this seems a bit of a turn, because where did we get this whole thing of katana or katan? So one of the perushim is that the child the child has no taiva for tashmis. But if he will see something, he'll say something. So therefore, you can be around the child. The child doesn't really know what he's doing, but if he sees something weird going on, he'll like, what are you doing? If the man and the women just get together and start doing something in front of him, he's like, what are you up to? But he has no taiva for it. So therefore, now if you have two men and two women, so then they have their own issues of yichud. Because if you have the men and the women, we said that's all going to be in the one room. So you have the wife and the husband, and they're shomer on each other. And then you have, because in the din of yichud, the wife and the husband are shomer on each other. And then you have two men and two women. Now these two women have a problem of yichud with each other. Whereas, so now you need to have shomerim for these two men and these two women. So therefore you have a cotton who doesn't bring those problems, and the cotton has no type of tashmish, therefore has no issue of yichud. However, if he sees something, then he will. If he sees something, and he will say something, so he'll stop the wife and the husband getting together. So that's one of the ideas between the kid. The Chazon Ish says that the cotton is just a level of tznius. Now, the Bach. Aval kasha. Lama tzarech. He's asking this kasha here. Well, I'm tzamach shimur b'shevis yemei hamishta. Why do you need shimur at all in the 7 days? So you have the 7 days of Mishnah and the 7 days of Avelus. So for the 7 days of Mishnah, you have to be in yichud, and again a high level of yichud with the extra people. So why do you? So Bach is asking, why do you need the shimur in the first 7 days? B'chal tipuk lei mishum dam besulim, the osher lo kanida. Now dam besulim is mutter. The dam besulim is the blood that comes out of the besulim. When a woman becomes a nida, is that the blood has to come from the prusdor. It has to come from that malkum. Now the besula comes, so the prusdor is coming from where babies come from. The basulim is where the tashmish takes place. So the blood coming from where the tashmish takes place, that's not dam nida. Therefore, it's tahor. So therefore, the dam basulim is tahor. And what's called Mishnah Rishona said that the dam basulim was tahor. However, Mishnah Achrayna said that dam basulim, since people can get confused, therefore they were asura lo kanida. That even though they know that it's dam basulim, they asur that dam like nida dam. And therefore the dam besulim on the first bia, the dam besulim will be chamor like nida. So therefore, the 7 days you don't need yichud. So just like by a nida you don't need yichud once you have the bia because of the chamer of nida, so too by even those 7 days of sheva brachas, the dam besulim as asr kanida, you have the dam besulim, so therefore the 7 days of the sheva brachas you're going to be chomer with her like nida, and therefore you don't need to have that level of yichud. You can be with her in yichud, no problem. So that's his kasha, and his answer is he says, yeah, I'm right, that you don't need to have any yichud. There's no problems of yichud at all during the sheva brachas because of she'll be in pseudo nida because of the dam besulim. Dim haisa basula ain't sarach shimur. Elahaka mairi b'hayisa ba'ula. So that where do we say what's the brisa talking about that he's going to get married and then the mother and the father dies with a ba'ula, and since she's a ba'ula, then there's no dam besulim. And then he's another came to Itzarach Shimur Misham Avelis Heket the Ishla Isha Zacheres. He has the second wife, and the second wife won't have the dam besulim, and therefore he's going to need. He's in Avelus, and therefore he's going to need a Shimur from. So the Bach introduces this idea that you don't need Shimur. You don't need Shimur. So this whole din in the Gemara is outdated, and it's only going like Mishnah Rishona, but Mishnah Achrayna that holds that dam besulim is like nida. There, you don't need that whole nida business, that whole yichud business at all. The Shach Yashim ben Anashim, Kasav Bach, the Mari Babaula, Avabasula Motor Liechad, the Nahi, the Avelas, Kila, Mikomakom, Kevin Shabal, Asr lo Misham Dam Nidus, Shachamir Vekenis Bar La'il. So the Shach is now bringing because the Bach is on the Torah, the Shach is on the Shulchan Aruch. So here the Shach is agreeing with the Bach, and the Shach is saying, oh look, there's no such din of super yichud in our Gemara, it doesn't apply today. And it's explained above. So the Shach is agreeing there with the Bach. Now the Taz was the Taz saying, Ve'im kain, ledidan, sheportion acher be'ilo shel mitzvah. So you take your poiresh after the Bila shel mitzvah, so that's what it says in the Gemara, that you are boyalu pirush, so you're taking it, so you separate. Kamo b'shar nashim, lama hushrak shemira bizmanenu. So he's asking the question of the Bach. The yesh loimer kaven de bizman ha talmud ha yechiv shemira ein lanu lahakel bezeh. So the Taz is going the other way here, and the Taz is arguing and saying that the Gemara says that you have to, even though there's no tam for it, the tam is bottle. Ein banu kayach ele lahachmer v'lo lahakel. So that it's like the din of the old base din, we can't be mevatel their din. So since it's a din, it's a low plug in the Gemara, and therefore we are keeping the same din now today. So the Taz is arguing on the Bach. The Psקי Tosfos, this is at the back of the Gemara, just before the Rosh. Chatan sheba al ishta yishna ima be'avlo. So that a chatan goes on his wife, then he can sleep with her while he's in Avilos. And again, this is going against what the Gemara says. Gemara says, not like that. They have to go into yichud. So the brackets here is not the Tosfos, it's who put the Psקי Tosfos together or printed it. So nearly those, it's a mistake. This isn't true. Put dots on it. Ki adarabba moichach me Tosfos diver boy. Always says clearly that the Avilos also if you baal. That in Avilos it's also even if you baal. But can you tell hedi be Gemara ein sham. So we'll look in the Gemara, you see all this, and you'll see that this din isn't true. Now the Tosfos boils the top of Dalad Amud Aleph, the Oimeri, the Havimasalimim or Poirish Mishum Dam Besulim. That the Tosfos is saying that you could have said a Dam Besulim, but then we'll say that it's not because of Dam Besulim, because we're not Poirish because of Dam Besulim, because it's not needed. So therefore we've seen from the Tosfos that is not true. It's clear in Tosfos. Pnei Yehושע. Shem kol loisan hayamim hu yeshem ben anashim hu yeshem ben anashim. The Psקי Tosfos, he quotes it. Ad kan the Tosfos and the Nisas Petzido, whoever that is, Ad kan l'shoina. Lamaded Parishis, but Pnei Mati Shapir. So Pnei Yehושע is now defending Psקי Tosfos, the Divrei Tosfos, but Divrei Hamaskal will boil. Hainu Lamaded put the Pirish Habraisa. So what Tosfos was saying is by the boil that you can't say it's because of Dam Besulim. That's because he's explaining the Brisa. Al Korcha Commissioner Rishon, and the Brisa is going like Commissioner Rishon. Is Commissioner Rishon is that the Dam Besulim is Dam Tahor, not like Dam Nida. I forgot the Ein Sarich Le Foresh Le Pirish because of Dam Besulim. Misham Dam Besulim Ve'im Kain Ledi Dan. So that's us. That's Tosfos. That's everybody after Mishnah Achroina, the Kaimalan Commissioner Achroina, that we're holding that Dam Besulim that is the same as Dam Nida. So therefore we're Mekel in Yichud because we're Machmir in the Dam Besulim. The Mele Shapir Kisu Psקי Tosfos the Filuchatan Shabali Sheishanimo. Therefore the halacha is a good halacha and it's going today. But Aviלות, I forgot the Velos Kila Le Mikomakom Be'in Mohachi Osur Lavo Ale Mishum Dam Besulim the Nida Chamir Le. That since it's the Nida, it's got the din of Nidas, and the Nida is Chomer, therefore it won't come to have relations because of that. So therefore the halacha today is that you are allowed to go with this. So we have a machlokes there between, you got the Pnei Yehושע, and you got the Tosfos, and you got the Shach, and you got the Bach, and then you have the Taz and the brackets in the Psקי Tosfos on the other side.